here's another point I want you to write down. You need to activate the creative center of your brain. Now, remember, I also said that your brain has to see something. So what does your brain see? Okay, and this is the exciting bit. Go back to the beginning. Go back to the very beginning. And I put you in that state where you needed to see what your heart pumping core desire was. Now, some of you would have seen it because some of you may have played this game before. Some of you may have done this. Some of you may know exactly what you want. And it plays as a preview. But if you're not making the money that you want to make, you're not living the life of choice that you want to do, you're not living your life with that heart-pumping core desire, then you need to stop right now and you need to change what your brain's seeing.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business, get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. All right, well, that brings me through to our main session for this evening. So the topic for this evening is NEUROME confidence, and it is elevating sales through mindset and brain power. So our guest speaker tonight is Susan Sheehan. I've known Susan for quite a while, many years now. She is business partners with Carolyn Barton. She is an international speaker. She is a professional performance coach, and she's got 25 years of experience in the field, and her field of expertise that she's renowned for is brain training authority. I think that's how I first met Susan, was with her brain training program. So she has operated in Australia and USA, and she's even interviewed celebrities and collaborated with a range of global leaders in professional development. So, and she's her own best example of what she's going to be teaching and talking about tonight as well too, in how to overcome doubts, fears, anxiety, and procrastination through quality thinking and intended action. So I'd like you to put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Susan Sheehan.
Don't you love those virtual claps? Hello, everybody. Thank you, Nick. Yes, I remember I remember when we first met, although I don't remember how long ago it was. But thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm quite passionate about the subject because I think we deliver it in a slightly unique manner. Some of what I'm going to talk about tonight, you would know, but I think we bring it together in a way that it's simple to understand. I think, like anything, if you know how something works, then it makes sense to know then what you need to do to work it. And we look at the brain in a similar manner. But before I start, because I can talk on the subject for hours and I have 50 minutes, and then I'd like to make it interactive. But I just would like everybody to sit up nice and tall and just relax the shoulders. And when I say you are going to close your eyes, would somebody like to time me for a minute? Caroline, would you like to time me for a minute? Thank you. I don't have a very good concept of time, just so one knows. So just to sit up nice and tall, keep your heart high. I just want you to draw your tummy in just a little bit so that you can just maintain that nice posture. And I just want, on the count of 3, I want you to close your eyes. Okay. Before we do that, I want you to breathe in and breathe out. Just a big breath out. Really just let all of it out. And be committed to playing this game. We are very, very practical. So this exercise, we're just going to use as a reference for part of what I'm going to be talking about today, but it will also help give you some greater insight into what I am going to talk about. So just breathe in again, big breath out, really just let it all out. Okay, Now just relax, totally relax. And please close your eyes. Switch off from the world around you so that you cannot see the world around you. And I want you to put your tongue on the back of your 2 front teeth. Now, we're going to breathe in slowly when I say, and then when we breathe out slowly, we're going to kiss the breath out. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, breathe in slowly. And just very slowly kiss the breath out. That's right. And again, breathe in slowly. And kiss the breath out. Let's just do one more together. Breathe in slowly. And kiss the breath out. That's right. Now I want you to keep just on that pattern of breathing. And as you're breathing in that manner, just keeping your heart high and your tummy in just a little bit, shoulders relaxed. I want you to think about what you want. I want you to think about your absolute core desire. I want you to think about what you think about your absolute core desire. And now I want you to think about what that looks like, and I want you to see it. I want you to see what that absolute core desire looks like. That's right. And I want you to imagine a TV screen in front of you, and I want you to turn the color right up to high so that it's bright and beautiful and panoramic. You can see this absolute core desire in bright, beautiful color. I want you to see you in it, with it, doing it, whatever it looks like for you. And now, as you keep the breathing going in slowly and breathing out slowly, as you kiss the breath away, I want you to imagine what that feels like. What does that feel like? Having, doing, being your absolute core desire. Can you see it? Can you feel it? I want you to think about it. What are you telling yourself about it? What does it look like with you in it? I want you to put yourself right smack in the middle of it. What does it look like with you in it? And how does it make you feel? What are you hearing yourself say? What are you hearing others say? As you breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly. That's right. Keep that breathing going. And as you're breathing in and out, I want you to keep that vision of that absolute core desire high in your mind. I want your brain to see it in bright, beautiful color. And I want your mind to be thinking about what that means to you, to have that, to be it, to do it, to live it. That's right. I want you to breathe in slowly. And breathe out slowly, kissing that breath away. And as we continue on through this journey this evening together, I want you to keep that vision really anchored into your mind's eye. And on the count of 3, I want you to open your eyes and you're back in the room on Zoom. 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, the purpose of that is going to become relevant as we go through today's session. And as Nick said, we're going to be talking about brain training and how it all relates to sales. But you know what? It's so much more than sales. It's so much more than words that I can speak. And let's just start with what the brain is. What is the brain? You know, the brain is 2 things. The brain is an organ, and as an organ, it needs to be treated with the same respect as the rest of the body. We now know that the brain beats to the same rhythm as the heart. So the heart and the brain are very, very connected. And so what is good for the brain, what is good for the heart as an organ is good for the brain. Now, the brain is also a genius brain. It runs our life and it runs our body. And I believe very, very strongly through, if I say I believe something, it's because I've proven it either myself through experiences and clients, or because it is proved, evidence-based through science. But I believe that the healthier the organ, the more powerful the brain. Why? Because the healthier the organ, the healthier the thoughts. So what does that mean? What is the power of the brain. And that is what I would like to talk about today, the power of the brain. Now, there's three things that you need to know. And the first thing you need to know is that the brain resists change, but we now know that we can change it. The second thing you need to know is that whatever goes in here is real. The brain does not discern between imagery and reality. Whatever goes in here is real. And the third thing you need to know, and it doesn't matter if you have a left brain, a right brain, an upside down brain, all brains need to see something. All brains need to see something. So we have a very simple analogy that we use because the clearer that you can see something, the better you understand it. So we look at the brain as being the bridge. The bridge needs to be made of the right stuff, going in the right direction, and unbreakable. Your mind is the vehicle that takes you there. And that needs to be resilient, unstoppable, and open to change. Your belief is the engine that drives you. And that needs to be made up of all the right parts working as one. And your emotion, your passion, is the fuel that drives it. So what does that actually mean? Well, when you think about the car, when you think about the car and when you're traveling, you hear noises, you hear bumps, the car breaks down, you don't get to where you're going, you get lost on the way. You may have been in business for 3, 4, 5 years and you're still getting the same results. You never quite get to the destination that you want to get to. Well, think about your brain as like your GPS. If you're going somewhere new, then you got to put the address into the GPS. This little voice pops up and somehow you get to your destination. How do we ever live without GPSs? I will never know. Your brain is the same. Unless you put where you're going into it, you will never really get to where you want to go. And, business is all about numbers. Business is all about numbers. And we know that only 4%-ish of people actually truly achieve financial freedom in business. Now there's 2.5 million small businesses in Australia and 33.5 million in America, but we have the same percentages. 4% actually get to live life of choice. Why? Because of what we believe it's because of what we're talking about today. You are the beginning piece of what you need to focus on so you can achieve greater success in sales and greater success in life, really. It's all about where you are going. What is your destination? Now, if the brain resists change and the brain focuses on all success is decided by what's going on in here, then how do you know what's going on? The brain is more valuable than money. Why is the brain more valuable than money? Because you're only going to make money when you understand how your brain works. And we live in this crazy world now, don't we, where we've got, neurodiversity and all these different labels that talks about the brain. Well, I'm diagnosed ADHD, but that was only 5 years ago. How on earth did I live life without being told that I was ADHD? Well, you know what? We just do, because we've got to understand ourselves. We've got to really understand how our brain works. So how do you know what's going on in your brain? Well, let me ask you a question, and I would really like this to be interactive. So please grab a pen and paper. And one thing that I'm going to assume is because you're here this evening, you're committed to wanting to build a successful business. You're committed to wanting better results. So let's just make a promise right now that you play the game full out. So this is a yes or no, and it's for your eyes only. Nobody else has to see it, but please be honest with yourself. Are you getting the results in life that you want? Are you living the life that you dreamed of? Are you positioned in life where you thought you would be at this stage in life? Are you making the money that you want? Do you have the money in your bank account that you want? Do you have choices? Do you wake up in the morning with joy and contentment in your heart because you're living the life you've always dreamed of? Now, if you answered yes to all of that, then congratulations. And you're just wanting to understand some of the transactional and more of the technical side of business. So congratulations, but please be honest, because the first step to success is to be honest with yourself. You must be honest. And the sad truth is that most people, and we know the numbers, 96% of business owners live behind a lie, pretending to be somebody they're not. Why? Well, for many reasons, and I'll go through some of those reasons. So that's the very first thing, because what you need to know is that everything in here is manifested in your physical world. Everything. If you're not getting the results in your physical world, you're not in the relationship that you want, you're not living life with the choices, your business, you're stuck in why you're not moving forward in your business, yet you're doing the work, but you're just not moving forward. Be honest with that. And if that is where you're at, then there's stuff going on in here that you need to fix. And here's another thing that you need to know. And when I say need is one of those words of, it's called a modal operator of necessity. You need to know this, that energy is projected from the inside out. You can turn your lips up, you can curl your lips to facing up, and you can pretend to feel happy, and you can play the game to pretend. You can play the pretend game, but authenticity and being true to who you are comes from the inside, and it shows out, and everybody can pick up on it. Even if you don't understand this stuff, even if you don't know what's going on, anybody that is half a brain can pick up when you're not being authentic, when you're not being true to yourself. Because energy is projected from the inside out, and it's where you need to start first. You know, we all have a story that plays on silently in the background of our mind. It's defines who we are and how we live our life. It's that unconscious tale that we tell ourselves about what you mean to you, what money means to you, what your life means to you. And here's a big one: how other people see you. It's going to determine whether you're worthy of success, whether you deserve success, and whether you're going to achieve it or not. And you see, here's the thing, is that this story is on replay. It's going to continue to replay because it's predictable, it's safe, and it's familiar. You see, your brain was designed to know fear. And that is why people see the negative first. How often do you say to somebody, "How are you today?" "Oh," and you get all the things that are wrong with them. When something pops up or something happens, you see the dark. We go between dark and light for comparison's sake. People see the dark side instead of the bright side. People will see the negative of a situation rather than seeing the positive of a situation. Let me ask you a question, and please be honest with yourself. Do you play the game of business to win, or do you play the game of business not to lose? Let me ask you that again. Do you play the game of business to win, or do you play the game of business not to lose? Now, again, please be honest with yourself, because the answer to that question is going to determine how far forward that you actually do go. And we can talk about that in the questions if you like. So this story is going to replay. And here's the thing. If the brain resists change, but your brain is not serving you, your brain is not helping you achieve success, then how do you fix the problem? And if your brain is designed to know fear, and think about it as having a scanning machine, you're out in the world and it's scanning for things that's going to keep you safe. Now, once upon a time in another world, another life, physical stuff was our biggest fear, but we don't wake up in the morning with a grizzly bear knocking on our front door. Because if we did, then the fear is just like overwhelming, and that grizzly bear would have to go. Our fear is psychological. The fear that we live in today in the world of business, it's psychological, but we must treat it with the same response as you had a grizzly bear standing at your front door. Because fear is there to keep you safe, which means that, like, I'm not a very strong swimmer. I can swim, and I've water skied, and I've done all sorts of activities. But, if I'm going to go out in the very, very, very deep water, then I want to have a wetsuit or a life jacket on. I need to do that so I don't drown. So I'm going to be in that state of, oh my gosh, I need to do that so I don't drown. So there are situations in life where your brain is going to keep you safe because you can logically figure out whether or not the situation is dangerous or not. But when you apply this to the world of business, when you apply this to your state of being, when you only see the negative and your brain is scanning to see if this is a safe place for you, there are things that actually happen. And I would like to just take a moment to share what that is, because your brain has neurological components that are very real. So you have part of your brain in the stem of your brain called your amygdala. And your amygdala is, let's just call it your emotional center. I want you to visualize a button. Just visualize a button. Okay, just visualize a button. Now, if your brain is designed to know fear, here's what's here is what happens. You go to pick up the phone to make a cold call. Oh my gosh, this is terrifying. That person's going to jump through the phone and gobble me up, or whatever that goes on, because it is a state. It's a state that people do not like to be in. People are terrified of picking up that phone to make a cold call. There's all of these factors. There's rejection. There's that unknown entity. There's that oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. That person's not going to like me. Oh, there's all this BS that goes on in a person's mind when you're going to pick up that cold call. So when that happens, when you go into that state where the amygdala is causing you to feel fear, what happens is there's a little almond nuclei that releases a steroid, and you feel all those emotions of fear, doubt, concern. Oh my gosh, I can't. Because now you have a choice there. This is where you have a choice. You can choose to just go forth anyway and pick up the phone, because here's the thing, please write this down. It takes 20 seconds of insane courage to break through that fear. It takes 20 seconds of insane courage to reset your comfort zone, because we all live in comfort zones. Every time you reset the brain, you're actually building a new comfort zone, because the brain likes to keep you safe. So every time you break through a fear, you are resetting a new comfort zone. And the thing is that every time you break through that fear, every time you switch on that 20 seconds of insane courage, you're building your confidence, you're building your certainty, you're starting to believe that you can. Now, your brain also has another neurological component called your reticular activating system. And your reticular activating system is, let's call it your focus. Because what your reticular activating system does, it deletes, distorts, and files all of the information that comes into your brain. Now, I want you to hold on to that thought. I'm going to come back to that. Now, if your brain resists change, doesn't like to change, it likes to keep you in that comfort zone where you believe you're safe, and it doesn't discern between imagery and reality. What's in here is it. How do you fix it? How do you change it? Because we now know that we can change the brain, right? So how do we change it? Well, here's another point I want you to write down. You need to activate the creative center of your brain. Now, remember, I also said that your brain has to see something. So what does your brain see? Okay, and this is the exciting bit. Go back to the beginning. Go back to the very beginning. And I put you in that state where you needed to see what your heart pumping core desire was. Now, some of you would have seen it because some of you may have played this game before. Some of you may have done this. Some of you may know exactly what you want. And it plays as a preview. But if you're not making the money that you want to make, you're not living the life of choice that you want to do, you're not living your life with that heart-pumping core desire, then you need to stop right now and you need to change what your brain's seeing. And you only do that by writing a story. So here's what you do. Here's your first home task is you write a story on a 3-page story on your ideal day. What does your ideal day? Take it away. Take it out of that heart-pumping core desire. What does that look like? What does it feel like? Write that story of your ideal perfect day. And then you turn it into a movie and it becomes a preview. Your brain has to see it. Remember, what goes into your brain is real. It doesn't discern between reality and an imagery. What goes in here is real. Now, here's your first superpower. Your imagination is your superpower. Your imagination, you can use your imagination to magnify that fear. Remember, you're picking up that cold call. So your imagination has caused you to imagine this whole story, which is total BS, about what's going to happen if you speak to the stranger on the other end of the phone. Oh my gosh, this is like heart pumping, terrifying. So your imagination is creating, is magnifying this fear, and you can translate this into any situation in life. But hey, here's the superpower aspect of it. Flip it. Use your imagination to create a magnificent preview of your future. Now, this might sound like airy, fairy, fluffy stuff, but I'm telling you right now that this is practical, real neurological science. And let's talk about some of the greats. Let's look at Disney. Somebody said to Mrs. Disney after Disney died, oh my gosh, isn't it sad that Disney didn't see Disneyland completed? Her response was, of course he did. It played up in detail in his mind. Richard Branson builds every single business in his brain and then gets excited about building it in detail in the physical world. I've got many of my own stories, of my stories and client stories. It is powerful, powerful. My daughter is a very perfect example. We were 13, she was 13, and we're in the movies, and she looked at me and she said, Mama, that's going to be me one day up on that screen. For 2 months of this year, she's a singer-songwriter. She traveled the world. She traveled, did a musical tour around America with Billy Idol. She released her first album and her little face was on billboards all around LA. She has never not seen what she wanted to be. She's never not seen what she wanted to do. So that is your number one. That is the very first start, the very first starting point to rewiring your brain. You need to see what that heart-pumping core desire is. And you have to do the same thing for your business. What does your business look like? Because the way you want to live your life and what you want, what that heart-pumping core desire is, needs to then take it to your business or your income generating vehicles, and how much money do you need to make to live it? It's a very simple formula. And then you fill the gaps. You fill the gaps. And the very first gap, of course, is self. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Phil, and an incredible man. Now, the one thing that I took away from the conversation with Dr. Phil is that we have to heal. Most people need to heal their personal truth. So what does that mean? What does it mean to heal your personal truth? Well, this comes down to now, the next thing that you need to do for yourself is that you need to be honest. You need to be okay with being honest with yourself. And I know that this can be challenging. I had a women's program that we launched around Australia online. We had quite a few thousand women online, and men actually, but it was predominantly women. And we held workshops all around Australia and some of the regional towns. And at that point, we didn't reach the $1 million in sales. And I was frustrated because I knew the business plan worked and we were doing it, but it just never hit that $1 million in sales. And I remember thinking, what's going on? Why isn't this doing it? And the answer that came up was, I wasn't worthy. You don't deserve it, was the reply. You don't deserve it. Oh my gosh, of course I deserved it, right? We all deserve it. But it got me thinking, like, okay, oh my gosh, okay, I've still got these layers that I've got to get rid of. But you see, when you're committed, we have 7 ingredients to success, which I will share with you. But when you are committed, which is ingredient number 1, you'll do whatever it takes. And that this is the biggest one. This is the most challenging one. This is the one that most people would rather stand behind a lie pretending to be who they're not, because it's easier than being honest with self. And if you want to be successful in sales, how can you possibly get other people to trust you if you don't trust yourself? As I said, you can put a smile on your face and turn the corners of your mouth up, but trust, authenticity, being absolutely true to oneself, is an energy that you project out. And the only way that that can come out so that the people that you want to do business with trust you is by you doing this work on self first. It is absolutely essential. Now, you go back to the car. And so, you know, the brain's got to be made of the right stuff. We're talking about that. And, you know, it's got to be going in the right direction. We know it's the GPS. We go to the mind, which is the vehicle in which you go in. It's got to be resilient. How do you build resilience? You build resilience by putting in place and taking action on everything that I'm talking about. Because the more you do, the better you get, the stronger you become. And resilience is just mental strength. Okay, start to be honest with yourself here. Please write this down. Always keep promises to myself. You must always keep promises to yourself. Again, if you don't keep promises to yourself, how on earth can you expect other people to feel that you can be trustworthy? Always keep promises to yourself. So let's get to the engine. Now, the engine has got to, your belief is the engine because it drives you. Your belief drives your life. Now, the question to ask, is it serving you? Now, we've already identified that the results you get in the physical world is a complete manifestation of what's going on between your ears. So if your belief is the engine to the car, it's all the parts of it need to be working as one. And here comes the problem. And this is the big overarching problem. You have parts of your brain that are saying, yes, you can do it. I believe in you. You deserve it. This is wonderful. Then you've got parts of your brain that are going, yeah, no, you're not. You're stupid. You're too old. You're too young. You're too fat. You don't know enough. And the second ingredient, or one of the other ingredients to success is that you need to be mindful. Now, being mindful is different to mindfulness. Being mindful is that 2% conscious brain is overriding the 98% unconscious in the parts that are telling you you're not worthy. Because these parts that are telling you are not worthy are not you. That's not the whole of you. They're just one part of you. But because it is the negative is overpowering. It is overpowering. It is stronger unless you're mindful to override it with positivity and what you want. Now, we'll go back to the beginning. That heart-pumping core desire, that vision of your life. This is when you press play. This is when you press play. You press play on that preview of your movie. Whenever you feel that that negative part is trying to stop you from bringing up that courage to break through that fear, you press play, you see it, you see your life. And for me, the big aha for me was when I realized that the life that I wanted to live was waiting for me. Now, here's the big one. Here's the big one. I had a client come into my office once and said to me, Susie, I'm not the woman I was born to be, and I'm not living the life I was born to live. Can you help me? So what do you think I said? She said, I've done everything else and there's nothing else is working. What do you think I said to her? Well, who do you want to be? Now, how do you know who you want to be? You know who you want to be by knowing what you want to do. You know, by knowing how you want to live your life, by knowing what you want to achieve in your business. Because once you know what you want to achieve in life, how you want to live your life, what does that look like? What does that feel like? Then you go back to your business. What does your business look like? And who do you need to become to have that business? And who do you need to become to live that life? You need to know this is the stuff that you need to work on. Who do you need to become? And I said to this woman, so I knew what her business model was. I knew what she was doing in her business. So I said, who do you want to be? And so you need to create this beautiful vision of who you want to be. You need to know who you want to be. And then you wake up every morning and you start to be that person. You start to put on the shoes of that person. You act as though you belong. You believe you belong there. Now, here's the thing. And please, these are 2 points that are really, really important that you need to know. Number one is that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And number two is that you got to believe, you got to start believing. You see, your belief, your thoughts, and your words are one and the same. It's just different context. You believe it, you think it, you speak it, right? You believe it, you think it, you speak it. So now you're going to believe it, you're going to think it, but you're not going to speak it. You reframe the positive, because what's going on, I call it the Ferris wheel of words. What comes out of here goes back into here, and the part that's trying to keep you in that false sense of security is going to win, and you're anchoring in the belief that it's real when it's not. Nothing of it, nothing is, the only thing that is real is who you want to become, is what's waiting for you in your future. Remember, your brain's already seeing it. The more that your brain sees that heart pumping core desire and that movie preview, the more you're going to achieve it, the more confident you're going to be. Emotional intelligence is a powerful one. And here's a little formula I want to write down. I've got to stay on point here, so I give you what I've promised in Nick's overview. Emotional intelligence, here's a little formula. You got to identify the problem. Identify the problem. So if you're, and this is where you're coming back to be honest with yourself, if your problem is you hate sales, I don't like selling. Everybody put their hand up. There's a little hand there. Can you put your, or just raise your hand? You know, who loves sales? Who loves selling? Who loves picking up the phone and making cold calls? Okay, most don't. Okay, so, you know, I want you to think about that. That's the problem, because sales is the only thing that brings money into your business. Nothing else will bring money into your business except sales. So that's the problem. Now, I want you to reframe the meaning of that. I want you to reframe the meaning of sales. And that's the next thing I'm going to talk about, is how to reframe the meaning of sales. But what does it mean to you to change the meaning of sales? Now, remember the vision of your life. Remember, that is what you want to always see. You press play again. Because if you fall in love with sales, and I use the word fall in love because just remember when you fell in love. Remember when you loved something so much that you wanted it to be in your life. You wanted to feel it, see it, touch it, taste it. You wanted to live with it. Being in love is one of the most powerful emotions that we have. So if you fall in love with selling, you're going to want to do it with excitement. So reframe the meaning of the problem. And because the focus tonight is sales, reframe the meaning of it. Now, the third point is that you release the emotional attachment to the problem. So why do you dislike sales? Have you had a bad experience on the phone? Why do you dislike sales? What is the problem that's causing you to have an negative emotional reaction to sales? You've got to release that. And then the big one is you got to retrain your brain to look at the problem differently. So you got to retrain your brain to see sales as an asset, to see sales as a benefit, to see sales as the only thing that's going to have you living the life that you want and building the business that's going to give you the life that you want. So those four things are: recognize the problem, reframe the meaning of the problem, release the emotional attachment to the problem, and retrain the brain to see it differently. And you can apply that formula to anything. You see, this belief, this engine that drives your life and these parts, it's the pain and the crap. Now, pain and crap are acronyms for procrastination, anxiety, internal conflict, negative beliefs, criticism, resistance, apprehension, and problems. So you've got this pain and crap that is attached and anchored into those parts of the brain that want to keep you in that living that life of mediocrity. You have the power within you to let that anchor go and power forward. But let me go back to the question I asked you in the beginning. Are you wanting to play the game to win or playing the game not to lose? Because the way you answered that question is going to help you determine and identify actually what is going on in your brain. What are your values? Why are values important? What is it? Here's another question to answer. Please write this down. What is the most important thing to you? What is the most important thing to you right now? And answer that question again, answer it honestly. And if you're feeling a little physical discomfort in some of the stuff I'm talking about, if you're going, oh my gosh, okay, well, that's me, or, you know, then you're in the right place. You're absolutely in the right place. You know, Mel Gibson, I had the pleasure also of meeting Mel Gibson. I've always been fascinated with success because I was always curious. Please write that down. Be curious. Curiosity is one of the most powerful success strategies that you can really start to activate today. Being curious. Now, remember, the mind is the car that takes you where you want to go, and it's got to be open to change. The only way that you're open to change is if you're curious, because when you're curious, why is curiosity so powerful? Because when you're curious, you ask questions, and when you ask questions, the brain has to find an answer. When you're curious, your brain has to find an answer. Now, here's the thing, and people get stuck in it. Don't get stuck in this crap. You don't have to know where the how is. You don't have to know where the answer is coming from. Just ask the question anyway. Okay, just ask the question anyway. Now, Mel Gibson, I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Passion of Christ. Now, Mel Gibson was significant in this movie, and nobody would give him money for it. Nobody would invest in the Passion of Christ. So he invested 10 million of his own money. And the movie made $780 million. What did he do? What did he do? What did he have about him that made him invest $10 million in something that nobody else believed was going to work? He trusted himself. So we go back to that. And my curiosity in wanting to know why some people seem to have that Midas touch to success, you know, they do it, they want it, they have it, they live it. And other people do the work and never quite get there. I was always curious with that. So I always asked questions, and it led me to work with some of the best in the world. It led me to interviewing celebrities and being okay with being uncomfortable. So here's the third ingredient to success. You gotta be uncomfortable. You got to fall in love with being uncomfortable. Now, quick story. I had a client. I was walking and talking to this guy on the beach, and it started to rain. He ran for cover. Well, I love the rain. I just enjoyed the raindrops, but he ran for cover. And when I got to the tree he was standing under, I said to him, I got it. There's your problem. You know, like being uncomfortable. And he looked at me and said, what on earth are you talking about? Remember what I said, the way we do one thing is the way we do everything? He didn't like being uncomfortable. And, you know, that was 5 years ago. I had to stop working with him because he wasn't coachable. And he decided that he could not get out of that comfort zone. He could not get out of that comfort zone. So he is still doing and living the life that he had 5 years ago. Because I said to him, every time it rains, go and stand in it. Go stand in the rain. Start to love feeling uncomfortable, because all change happens in that state of discomfort. If you're comfortable, you're safe. If you're comfortable, look around you. Look around you, because you'll get the same results that you're getting today, you'll get in 5 years' time and 10 years' time. You see, what happens with the brain is once you start to repeat patterns of behavior and results. So you may be making $150,000 a year, say, and it may go up and down. You may go on a little bit of a sideward trend. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, but you're pretty much getting the same results. It's not changing your overall net worth or your lifestyle, because your brain has anchored in your behavior patterns, anchored in your thoughts, and you'll continue to get the same results because it just puts it on default. I don't need to think about that anymore. It's just going to go on default. I had a client once who had a business. She was generating $5 million in revenue. She distributed beauty products in 3 countries, and she wanted to generate $10 million in her company. Now, when we sat down and we looked at all of the numbers and I looked at what she was doing is she was using the same programming, the same patterning, the same thinking, the same behavior patterns as what she did to generate $5 million. To double that, she needed to shift she needed to do some shifting neurologically. Now, liken it to a roadway. You know, you've got a friend, your friend lives 3 blocks away from you. You get in your car and you drive the 3 blocks. You don't have to think about it. It's like the car's on autopilot, right? You just drive there. but your friend leaves town and goes and stays in another state. You don't know the area, so you've got to put on your GPS and off you go, you get there. And once you've been there a few times, you know how to drive there easily and effortlessly without that conscious thinking. Now, your brain is exactly the same way. You have neural pathways. And every time you get out of your comfort zone, you start to recreate, rebuild, you build new neural pathways in your brain. This is what happens. Now, here's a very significant piece to this, and it's really important that another need. You must celebrate. You must celebrate all the little achievements, because it's only in the celebration that the neural pathway actually starts to be built. Why? Because when you celebrate, you're releasing all of these amazing hormones and neurotransmitters and neurochemicals that you cannot inject with. You cannot eat them, you cannot inject them. You've got to feel them. So and it doesn't matter, it can be a little achievement or it can be a big, massive achievement. But if you set out to set a goal, you set a goal and you set out to get that goal, you're breaking out of your comfort zone, you're doing what it takes. And there's another essential ingredient. You've got to do what it takes. Lose the excuses. Now, I used to think that there was a difference between an excuse and a reason, but that it's the same. You either do it or you don't do it. And again, it's how you frame the situation. You know, it's the way you talk to yourself. And look, this is a whole nother subject for another day. Conversations with self and language and words, they're powerful and part of sustainable growth. But right now, this is just know that this is powerful and that you need to be mindfully aware. So you say to yourself, I can't do that because I've got this going on, so I'm not going to do that. No, I can't do that because I'm this, and I can't do that because I'm that. Now, the thises and the that's may be real. They may be part of reality, but here's the reframe of it. You know what? This is what I need to do every day because that's the practical aspect of life. But what I can do is I can do 1, 2, 3 every day, every week that's going to move me towards what I want to achieve. So can you see that there's an empowerment? Never use the word cheap, budget, discount, or coupons, ever. Why would you not want to use any of those words? Because there's a couple of things. You're telling yourself that you're not worthy, and you're going to attract people that want cheap. So let me repeat that. Never use the word, never speak cheap. Never use that word cheap or budget, because it's disempowering you. And the brain functions on what you put in here. Remember that the brain functions by what you put in here. And that's what cognitive mastering is all about. Cognitive mastery is knowledge. It comes from learning. That's why, remember the mind, it has to be open to change. It's learning, it's experience, it's practice. You've got to learn, experience, and practice every single day if you want to be successful. And if you're making excuses, now that doesn't mean you can't have days off. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have a slack day today. I'm going to eat a liter of ice cream and watch movies all day. That's okay. But you're giving yourself permission to do it. It's not an excuse to stop you from doing what you know you need to do. The other ingredient is that you need to be coachable. You need to be coachable, because coaching isn't about being your best friend. Coaches are not meant to be your best friends. Coaches are there to help push you through the stuff you don't want to do, to help you open up the box of that, to open up the comfort zone and help you see past the comfort zone. Because what happens is most people are in that comfort zone, they're looking out of it, seeing what they want. Some people are stuck seeing because they don't think they're worthy of seeing. And then that in the corner, you've got the box of stuff that you know you should be doing. So here's the other thing I want you to write down. What are your strengths? Write down in one column. Do this tomorrow. What are your strengths? And then what are your weaknesses? And here's what I want you to grasp hold of. And I want you to think about it with absolute intent, is that you strengthen your weaknesses, you will put a 0 to your bottom line. And here's another one. Use your strength to strengthen your weaknesses. Now, what is any of this got to do with selling? Well, because one thing I know for sure, there's a couple of things going on here and I've observed, I have spent a career on observing people and observing successful people. And when I say successful people, I'm talking about people that are living the life of choices, make multi-million dollars. Caroline and I are coached weekly by billionaires. Why would we do that? Because we like to feed our brain with what we don't know. We like to feed our brain with information and energy and language and all of the things I'm talking about that really excite you. And you know what blows my mind is that when you surround yourself with people that you're the weakest link, when you're the weakest link because you've got people that know more than you about whatever, can be about self or business or whatever, you always learn something because it goes into the brain. Lots of stories about that as well. But back to the point, I told you I can talk for hours, staying on point here. Let's get back to sales. So I want you to draw a line down the middle of your paper. Just a vertical line down the middle. And on the left-hand column, I want you to write self-serve. Now, we've talked about all the things tonight about self because that's where it starts. Adam Coffey is a billionaire that Carolyn and I are coached with on a weekly basis. And I mean, I also met Steve Wozniak, who's co-founder of Apple. Now, both Adam and Steve have the same belief because it's a truth. Now, hold that thought. Let's just go back to that belief. You see, your belief is what drives your life, is your truth. But here's the question that you must ask. Is it true? How do you know if it's true? Well, again, what you're creating in your physical world is an absolute manifestation of what's going on here. And if it's not, then your belief is not serving you. It's not true. But here's the truth. Both of these men said that it has to be about math. Business is unit economics. And Steve Wozniak said math. But Steve Wozniak said that healthy, happy people simply perform better. Healthy, happy people simply produce more. Healthy, happy people simply just are better to be around. So go back to that heart-pumping core desire, living your life. And Adam Coffey says that the number one step to success is all mental. So that's why you've written self down. And I want you to think about all these things that I've asked you to do, because you take action on this stuff that I'm talking about, you will find shifts in your life. You will find shifts in your results. You will find shifts in and how you feel. Because here's another reality check. And this is a fact, is that change happens silently and suddenly. You don't see the brain changing. You don't see it rewiring. But if you get up every single day and you focus on stepping out of that comfort zone, we call it my different daily. You do a my different daily. Here's the big one. Do what you don't want to do and your life will change. Because we get stuck. We hide behind what we don't want to do, you know, and that box of weaknesses that's in the corner and you cover stuff on it so you don't see it. Bring that box of weaknesses out and start working through it. But that's the self stuff. Then you've got the serve stuff. So hands up, please, who believes that selling is serving. Okay, so all hands are going up, and I'm assuming that the people that are just listening are putting their hand up as well, because selling is serving. And you're right, selling is serving. But here's the thing. And I want you to take this on board with every single ounce of your being today, that selling is serving. But if you go into the world saying, I'm serving people today, I'm serving people today, isn't that what we do as human beings anyway? Aren't we human beings as human beings in a world of people? It's about serving others. It's about being kind to other people. We're in this world where we have to serve others. I mean, I have a son with an intellectual disability. He was born with 3 parts of his brain damaged, multiple food allergies, and he had a seizure every 20 minutes. I started studying the brain when Matthew was just a baby. He's drug-free, allergy-free, and seizure-free, got a Cert 3 in hospitality, and he's now practicing golf to be part of the Special Olympic golfing team. Now he comes up today and he says to me, I'm going to be gone for a little while because I'm going to go down and help Bruce fix up. They bought a whole lot of mulch and stuff for the gardens in the apartments that we live. I'm going to go down and help Bruce do the gardens. Didn't have to, didn't get paid for it. He was just out there serving another human being. So I think that believing that sales is serving is one piece of it. But I now see that vertical line on your paper. I want you to cross that line, and I want you to put up on the top of that column, business. So on the top of the first column on the left, you're going to write you, and under you, you've got self and serve. Then on the other column, you've got business. And here's what you're going to write under business: skill set, sales, strategic planning and strategic marketing, systems and processes, social media, services and products, spreadsheets, unit economics and numbers. So those 7 points are the main components of business. Now, if you want to make money in your business, you're going to jump that line with yourself, feeling confident and certain about who you are, believing you deserve success, knowing that you can change another person's life. And I don't care if you're selling internet marketing, shoes, or you're running an organization. Business is all about serving and making a difference to somebody else's life. But you've got to jump that fence, and you've now got to fall in love with business. You've got to fall in love with business. And my life started to change when I jumped that fence and started falling in love with business. And you circle. Now, what are my strengths? What are my strengths here? Now, okay, my strengths, I've got skill set in 1, 2, 3, strategic planning and marketing. Okay, I'm great at social media because I've got a great coach here for social media and online marketing. So I don't need to think about that because I'm already being coached by that. Got Nick there to help me do that. What am I like at my numbers? Now, I spent $50,000 with a coach to be told that my brain didn't see numbers. My brain, I'm right-brained, I'm visual, diagnosed 5 years ago with ADHD. I didn't see numbers, I saw people. And I thought, oh my gosh. Once I hopped into wanting to thrive mode, going from survival to thriving, because if you're under you and only you, then you're in survival mode. You got to jump the fence and hop into thriving mode and fall in love with business. That's when things started to change. You see, when you fall in love with business, then you've got to develop all those things. Now, remember, you're working on self as well. It's a partnership. Serve, use, self-serve, skill set, strategies, all the S's. You bring it together. That's why coaching works. You don't have to do this by yourself, and you don't have to know everything. Now, nobody's going to pay me to do a spreadsheet. That's why Caroline's here. But I know what numbers are. I trained my brain to see numbers. Now, how did I do that? Well, I knew that my brain had to see something, right? Everything that I'm talking about, we practice. I had to see what my brain needed. So I thought, okay, I'd been working with a coach in the States. I came back to Australia, walked into my office. Oh my gosh, it's such a mess. I can't start there. So I started in my wardrobe. I started keeping my wardrobe tidy. Before long, I developed that habit of a tidy wardrobe. It was easier for me to do. I felt that it was a good beginning point to train my brain to be more organized. So I started working and cleaning up my wardrobe. Before long, my wardrobe was tidy, and so was my office, because the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. And you know, to this day, if my wardrobe is untidy, you can bet your bottom dollar that so is my desk and so is my office. So you've got to identify. That's where you've got to understand what your weaknesses are. Then you go back to your brain and you think, now, what does my brain have to see? What do I have to practice? What do I have to learn? And when you fall in love with business, remember how you feel when you fall in love with something? You fall in love with business. So you're ticking your strengths and you're circling your weaknesses. Now, sales is a weakness. If you don't love sales, you've got a weakness, and that's why you're not making the money. So you've got to focus on, how can I fall in love with sales? What do I need to do to fall in love with sales? I've got to release this emotional attachment I have to not liking sales. How do you do that? You learn some new skills. You experience. And you know what? When you first start doing it, you're going to be terrible. You're going to hate it. Ow, and you're going to want to give up. But write this down. Just get it done. It's a powerful brain anchor. Just get it done. And then as you learn, experience, and practice, what happens? You start to believe you can. And as you start to believe you can, your brain is starting to be rewired. That belief is now starting to serve you. That driver is now moving you where you want to go because you're strengthening that muscle. And as for spreadsheets, well, most people just need a Caroline. Unless you're very analytical. Now, if you're very analytical and you love doing spreadsheets, then like Caroline, she needs a me. So that's why Caroline and I make such a great pair, because we see all and solve all. We're the right brain and the left brain coming together, although we both have a little of both. But I mean, I'm trying to really share with you that you need to understand how this brain works. And I can tell you stories that will make your hair curl, that can verify, back up, and give you proof of what I'm talking about. So here's another little exercise I want you to do. I want you to grab a piece of paper. Just a piece of paper. And do another vertical line down the middle. Now on the left-hand side, put conscious brain. Just write the word conscious. And on the right-hand side, put unconscious. Now, you've got to give permission. You've got to say, okay, I'm going to give permission for my conscious brain to talk to my unconscious brain. Remember that all your results are driven by your 98% unconscious brain. Everything that's in here, remember those parts that is keeping you stuck. Now, here's the other thing you have to do, is you've got to answer with the very first thought that comes to mind. Do not think about it. Do not let that critical factor step in here. Do not try and justify the answer. Get out in front of the lie that you're telling yourself. Remember, you're confident, you're certain, you can do this, but you've got to be honest, right? Remember that, you've got to be honest. So ask yourself the question. I don't know, I'm just going to throw it out there. Why don't I like sales? Now write that down under the conscious column. And then with the very first thought that comes to mind, write that in the unconscious column. And then you continue with that process. Why don't you like sales? Now you want to use that, you want to have the same meaning to the question, but you can ask the question in different ways. So another way of, why don't I like sales? Oh, sales. And think about the emotion that you feel with sales. Why don't you like sales? What comes up? What comes up? So somebody tell me something that comes up when they think about not liking sales. Talk to me. I don't bite. Be brave, be bold, have balls. Those 3 B's are very powerful to break through that comfort zone.
They feel uncomfortable.
Fear of rejection.
Okay, fear of rejection. Okay, so write that down. Why do I fear rejection? And write the very first thought that comes down. Now, here's the thing. Your unconscious may not make sense, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. You just write down what comes up. So you go through this process. Now, all you're thinking about is sales. So the questions that you're asking yourself are all around sales. And you keep doing this process until I love sales. That's another one. Write that down. I love sales. And see what comes up. Now we're going to change it from the negative to the positive. Now doing the negative for a little bit is great because it's going to help you identify some of the crap. But now we're going to shift it to the positive. Okay, because we want the positive to be the outcome. So do a couple on the negative and then shift it to the positive. I love sales. Now write down what comes up. Very first thought that comes up. And it could be something like, yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, no, that's not true. Be honest with what comes up. And the idea of this exercise is, and I don't care if you use 10 pages, the idea of the exercise is for you to help. You're actually cleaning out your unconscious. You're identifying with what's actually really anchored in here. And the more you do, you come to, I love sales. And the answer is, yes, I love sales. And it's a powerful exercise that you can do. Play the game. Play the game, because it is just rewiring this is what needs to happen. And this is a little exercise. Identify the problem, right? So this is a little exercise to help you do that. Sustainable success is all about everything we've talked about, but brain to rewire the brain, it isn't me sitting here speaking for an hour. It isn't a program, a product. It isn't an event. It isn't a boot camp. It's the daily, please, you need to understand this. It is the daily practice of the 7 ingredients to success, and the daily practice of feeding your brain with the information that is going to move you forward towards you living the life you want and achieving the success that you desire. It is the daily practice of doing everything that we are talking about. You can have slack days, as I said, but it is the daily practice of it. Put your hand and face to people that want to gossip and talk negative. If the only thing you do every day is protect what goes in here, your life will change. And be strong in your convictions of what's right for you. Be okay with saying no to people. And you know what? When you're in front of people and you work on all of this stuff and you're talking to people about what you do, then you're intrinsically projecting this confidence, this newfound energy that you have and trust in self. And people will want to know you because of it. We live in a world where the 2 biggest assets that you can have in business now are authenticity and loyalty. And the only way that you can project authenticity and loyalty is if you believe that you can, you trust yourself, you're loyal to yourself. And always know that, you know, this is, I guess, you want to just get to know people. Never, ever, let me say, never, ever try and sell your product to somebody that you don't know in a first conversation. Never do that. Get to know the person and write this down. This is so important. Get to know the person before you do business. Get to know the person before you do business. So you know that you're on the same wavelength. You know that you have the same value system. You understand their pain. And you have to understand the person's problem and the pain to that problem before you know how you can help them. If you're in the business of serving others, if you want to believe that you're serving people, that your clients are what you're serving, then the only way that you're going to help them do that is by falling in love with sales so they can have what you have, so they feel better and they ease their pain. It's that simple. It's a simple equation. And it's called unconscious competence. Unconscious competence is when that 2% conscious brain, let's keep it really, really simple, that's your desire for more and your decision to make it happen. Your 2% conscious brain is congruent with your 98% unconscious brain, which means all your parts, like that engine, all those parts have got to work as one. All those parts are working as one. Yes, I want it. I'm going to make this a decision to do it. And your whole brain goes, yes, you can. And that energy projects outwards, and people will be attracted to you. People will want to talk to you. People will want to know you. But if you're hiding behind the lie, trying to sell a product, but you're not being honest and true to yourself, it will never happen. And it all starts with what the brain sees, what information the brain has, and the emotion that you attach to all of it. So I've shared a lot of stuff with you today, and I've tried to really keep to the main points that we had down. Let me just run through those main points. Cognitive mastery is learn, experience, practice, but it's knowing more so that you can believe better. Okay, knowing more so that you can believe better. Money mindset, the impact of money mindset. Well, your money mindset is really just the value of self. Now we're going to share a link with you. These are the free gifts that we'd like to share with you. It's a 56 questionnaire. Answer the questions. First thought that comes to mind. As you work through this questionnaire, you're going to identify the things, the blocks that you have about self that could stop you from actually achieving the success that you want. It's a yes, no, maybe answer. Answer with the first thought that comes to mind. And what are you going to be? Honest with yourself. Okay, be honest with yourself. Neuroscience and practice. Well, we've already talked about all of that. I've explained very briefly how the brain works, what fear is, what focus is. Remember your amygdala, you know, that button. When you're standing in front of something that you know you got to do for business, but you're avoiding it because it's a weakness, press the fear button, turn it off, boom, bam, 20 seconds, you've done it. It can be that, not always easy, but it can be that simple. Visualize that button, push it off. Emotional intelligence, the recognize, reframe, release, and retrain. That formula can be used in all areas of your life and business. Resilience, you know, resilience is mental fitness, mental strength, mental courage. Just get up and keep going. Just push through the hard stuff. Just push through the hard stuff. And, you know, once you believe that you can, and, you know, that's why trusting self, respecting self, that's why doing what you know you got to do, even if you don't want to, you achieve greater success in all areas of life and business, because you're trusting yourself, you're believing yourself, you're getting up and doing it, and you're living life without excuses. And the brain responds to all of this. Remember, you're building those new neural pathways. The more you fall, the faster you practice getting up after you fall down, reframing situations and challenges and promises, the stronger that you become. My two favorite words are kindness and courage. Kindness and courage, they're my two favorite words. And if you follow all of these, then you're going to be selling with authenticity. Get to know people before you try to sell to them. Get to know who they are, what their problems are. Get to know what the pain of their problems are, because always remember that the problem is the lid on the box. You got to take the lid off the box and draw out that magician's scarf that's got a different color for wherever the pain. Because people only tell you what the lid is. Nobody's going to tell you what their pain is. But if you get to know somebody and you identify what their pain is, and you know that you can ease their pain, then that's when you that's when you invite them to look at what you have. And when you start inviting people and you believe you've got that unconscious confidence that what you have to offer can change that person's life. Because here's the thing, don't you at some level, you've got the parts of the brain that believe that anyway, otherwise why would you be in business doing it? Some of it's just so logically, it's just ridiculous. You're in business doing it because you've got a skill set on it and you believe in it. So now just get rid of those parts of your brain that just are holding you back. It doesn't matter about age. You know, I spent a day with George Ross in 2019. Now, George Ross was Donald Trump's advisor for 47 years. And I spent a day being coached by George Ross. He was 90, well, he's now 96. He was 92 years old. I said to him, do you have a health and wellness plan? And he looked at me and said, what's that? Because it's just the way he lives his life, right? So sustainable success is all about applying everything we're talking about. Remember that vision of what you want. Remember that heart pumping core desire, because you press play whenever you get stuck. Boom, it pops up. Boom, it's there, the reason to do it. And when you start believing that life, that business, those results, whatever it is that you want are waiting for you, then it doesn't matter what you have to do. You climb the mountains, you push through the hard stuff, you walk past the people that don't get you. You switch off the negativity. You don't have a problem in doing it, because the faster that you do all of this, the faster you're going to live the life that you want, make money in the business that can give you the life that you want, and you can be and do what you want with the people that you love. And here's the thing, fall in love with business, cross that line and fall in love with business, and you're going to be serving more people. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, I think I've probably, any questions? I have no idea what the time is, but any questions?
Excellent. Lots of comments are coming through in the chat there.
I'm not reading the chats because I can't see the chat. So
that's all good. All sort of comments there that really reinforcing what you've said there, and it seems that you've had some inspiring things to say as well too. Excellent. Well, we are at 7:47, so let's. You do have that giveaway that you mentioned there. Just tell us what that is, and we can drop the link into the chat there.
Okay, well, there's a couple of giveaways. The money mindset checklist, as I said, you just answer those questions. First thought that comes to mind, yes, no, maybe, and you will identify straight away any beliefs that could be keeping you stuck. And then the other one is one of the books that we wrote. I used we used the word we. I wrote it. Caroline edited it 10 times. And it's called Reset, Fast Track Your Brain Power for Ultimate Success. So it really is just a nice little story. You learn a little bit more about my story, and it covers a little bit more detail what I talked about today. And so that's a gift for everybody today.
Fantastic. We'll drop those links into chat there, so you can go and grab those. Peter.
Just a quick question, Susan. Fantastic presentation. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
But my question is this. When it comes to your subconscious or your unconscious mind, whatever it is, the things that drive the actions and the results that we get, okay? When it comes to that, which is really, we're talking about paradigms, right? When it comes to that, one of the key issues is really your self-talk, right? And you talked about being consistent in your self-talk. How consistent should you be? How many times a day should you do it? That's my question.
Okay, so I worked with I have a friend actually who's a neural coach in the States. He's also a professor of business at the Loyola University. He's written numerous books on the subject of the brain and God, and been interviewed by Oprah. So I share that to impress that he knows what he's doing. And they have gone into organizations, and the statistics that they've come back with is that we have to have 5 positive thoughts to 1 negative thought to move forward to achieve success. If we have anything under three negative to 1 positive, then we're going to be failing. So, you know, how do you assess that in self? This is where being mindful comes in. We need to be mindful of the talk, of how we're talking to ourselves. That's why we don't use words like cheap and discount and you know, because they'll and the word debt, you know, debt free means that you owe nobody money, but the word debt in itself is a word that contracts, you know, that word debt, and there's so many words in the language that no matter what how you frame it, there's still a meaning to it. Like criticism. Oh, I criticize a person about this. I mean, criticism is one of those words. We want to give people feedback, right? That's feedback, not criticism. So we have to be very mindful of the words that we use to others, but always remember that what comes out of here not only goes out into the world, it also goes back into our brain to anchor in the belief of what we've just said. So we just have to be mindful of it. It's 5 to 1 is the ratio that they say that scientifically is proving that moves us forward. But we just have to be mindful. And I think a great way to start is to listen to the conversations we have with other people. Listen to other people talking to you, and then you're hearing what they're saying, and then you can then think about what you're responding to those conversations. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you.
And the more that you do, and like, I have to be honest with you, the more that you do, the more painful people are. I tell you, it's like, oh my gosh, get me out of here. I can't even tell you how often I think that, get me out of here. It's like that TV show, you know. And I walk through the supermarket, and I feel, honestly, you know, there's this mum talking to this little boy, and he wanted this watch. And he wanted this watch. Oh my gosh, I felt sorry for the woman, because he really wanted this watch. He was behaving, and he was being naughty. And when the mother just turned around and screamed at him and said, "Don't be so friggin' stupid, you can't even tell the time."
Yeah.
And I just looked at this woman and thought, oh my gosh. I had to walk away, because I wasn't in a position to be able to say something, although I would have loved to have said something. But listening to what other people say is a great place to start, because then it brings your attention to how you react, how you respond, and what you're actually saying. And always remember that we attract who we are.
And Susan, just because we got a burning desire to achieve something doesn't mean we need to know how to do it.
No, don't need to know the how.
As long as you've got that burning desire, it'll happen anyway.
Well, there are some of these other factors that we got to bring in, but yes, we don't. People focus on the how and forget all the other stuff, and the how.
Right. And the how is that's an excuse.
That's the excuse. Yeah, that can be the excuse, but it's also can be how the brain works. Let me share a quick story before we go. We interview successful people. I interviewed a man a doctor from Singapore, Dr. Sundadas Alamalay, and he was born with a deformed face. He had had 8 or 9 surgeries before he was 10, and he was diagnosed with brain damage and autism. Okay, now moving on, he would be a man in his 50s. He's got the most successful, he set up the very first natural therapy clinic in Singapore, and it's the most successful. It's been, I think, 30-something years. But when he was 14, he was frustrated because he didn't know how to create success. He didn't know how to be creative. His exact words were, I didn't know how to create things. I didn't know how to create things. So I started to study how my brain learned. So between the ages of 14 and 25, I just set about studying how my brain worked so I could learn stuff. And by the time I was 25, I'd achieved all these accolades through school, and I had got my first degree in science. He's now a professor of natural therapies, and he has a degree in every modality that we can have within the natural therapies. And I said to him, how do you manage staff? Because he's very clear. You could see the autistic traits coming out in the interview. I was fascinated how he manages staff. So he said, well, everybody that starts working for me has 3 months. I have a team of people that actually work with the hiring and doing all of that. But he said they have 3 months. If they can't work with me after 3 months, then they are allowed to leave without any questions asked. And he said, I've had staff here that have worked with me for years. So to me, he epitomizes what is possible for any of us. He epitomizes what's possible for any of us. But his desire to know how to create in the world was greater than the pain of stepping out of the comfort zone and learning how to do it. The desire to live the life that he wanted to live was greater than using his autism and his brain dysfunction as an excuse not to. And when you hear a story of somebody like that has achieved that, with all those challenges, to me, I think, oh my God, all the time I've wasted, and I could have done this and I could have done that. But, we can reset and restart at any point in life. So I implore you, start thinking about what you want, create that vision. And now then wake up tomorrow morning and start to live life with the 7 ingredients. Let me run through that before we go. Be committed. The brain knows the difference between commitment and interest. Be committed. Do what it takes. Lose the excuses. Fall in love with being uncomfortable. Do my different daily every day. Do one thing you're afraid of every single day. Implement fast. Don't procrastinate. If you have an idea, work it out, think about it, do it, follow up immediately, implement fast. Be mindful. Let that 2% conscious brain dominate the parts of the unconscious that could keep you stuck. So being mindful means that you're doing what it takes every single day. Train your brain. Be conscious of the people you hang out with, the information that you feed into this. Be conscious of your energy and your emotions. If you're feeling sick, sad, depressed, what are you doing? Who are you with? Where are you? What are you listening to? Who are you hanging out with? Change it. Use your emotions as a guide to move you forward, not to get stuck in a situation. And be coachable. Remember, the mind has to be resilient, unstoppable, and open to change. Be open to change, be coachable, be okay with helping somebody else push you through the hard, brainstorming new ideas, letting, because somebody else can always see more in you than what you see in yourself, because you're always more than what you think you are. That is a promise.
Excellent. Thank you, Susan. There is a ton of stuff in that, and it took me back to sort of some times in life when things have been easy and when things have been hard as well. and maybe remember some of the things that I did to actually get the things that I wanted. So it's a great reminder, and really appreciate you spending the time with us tonight to share all of this. So thank you very much. Let's everyone give Susan a big virtual round of applause. Thank you. And if anyone wants to get hold of you, what's the best way to touch base, get hold of you, talk to you further?
Oh, well, if you get, you can email Susan Sheehan Speaker at gmail.com. Caroline also, Caroline. But the easiest way is just Susan Sheehan Speaker, Facebook, send me a messenger. Honestly, put Susan Sheehan Speaker into the into social media and I'll pop up somewhere.
And there's a couple of questions. How do we get the reset book?
Oh, the link should be there to download it.
Is that the bit.ly link?
Caroline, would you like to put it into the chat box? Caroline will put it into the chat box.
Oh, there it is. Is it? All right, we'll come into the chat box. And while that is happening as well too, if you've enjoyed tonight, I know I certainly have, if you know of someone else that you think might really appreciate listening to this as well, the replay of this will be up on the YouTube, our Smashco YouTube channel. It'll be up there tomorrow afternoon. If you're not yet a subscriber of it, the link is in chat. So click on that, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And when you do subscribe, there's a little bell beside the subscribe button. If you click that, then you'll get a notification as soon as we have uploaded this particular episode. And we'll also, it's also streamed on Facebook as well. So if you can't wait, you want to watch it again, it'll be in the Facebook group. So now is a good time to go and join the Business Owners Smashing It Online Facebook group. All right, well, that is our session for tonight. So thank you once again.
Didn't we have a giveaway to go? A giveaway?
Oh, sorry, my apologies. We do too. So we do have our what do we call it? Our prize for the end of the evening, and we've got the special way to draw this as well too. So up on screen is the Wheel of Names.
Look at this. How cool is this?
So what is the giveaway for tonight for someone that wins with the Wheel of Names?
It's a session with me to help identify what's important, the problem, and get started plan to solve it.
Excellent. All right, so you need to be in the room to win. So let's click the Wheel of Names. All of your names are in the Wheel of Names, and if we are unlucky enough, or lucky, depending on whether you're in the room or not, to have left, then we redraw it. And our lucky winner tonight is Billy Lawrence. Are you here, Billy? Let's just have a look through the names here.
Pretty cool. How did you do this?
Oh, that's one of our little tricks. One of our cool apps and tools.
Oh my gosh, Wheel of Fames. I love it.
Wheelofnames.com. Yes, Billy is here in the room. So congratulations, Billy. We will organise to connect you and Susan tomorrow. We'll connect you by email, and then you can connect with Susan to organise that touch session with her to get that clarity and to get clear with her. So congratulations to Billy being our winner tonight. All right, and that is our session for tonight. We will be back here next week, same time, same place. And I'll tell you who the speaker is, but we're just in the process of confirming it. It is going to be another exciting speaker as well. Hoping it's going to be on Facebook and the Facebook algorithm, but we'll confirm that through the week. So make sure you keep an eye on the Business Owners Smashing It Online Facebook page. We'll announce it there. And of course, if you're on an email list, we'll shoot out an email as well too. All right, have a sensational evening, everyone. Thank you, Susan. And look forward to seeing you all again. Have a great night. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nickcree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.